Okay, today we're learning Gemara Maseches Sukkah, Daf Chof Ches. Von Rabbanon. Gemara says Shmoinim Talmidim Hillel Hazoken. Hillel Hazoken had 80 Talmidim. Shloishim Mehem Ru'uyim Shetishra Shechina Aleim. 80 out of the 30 out of the 80, they were in such a level that they were raw, they were fit to have Shechina rest upon them. Moshe Rabbeinu. Well, talking about very high level. Moshe Rabbeinu was Rabban Shel Kol HaNeviim. He was the biggest level of Hanavi, and they would have Shechina, that level. They were ready for that level of Shechina like Moshe Rabbeinu. Ushloishim Mehem, and the other 30, Ru'uyim Shtamadam Chamo Ki Yeshua Ben Nun. They were the level of Yeshua Ben Nun that he stopped Doim HaShemesh Begivon. He stopped the sun by the war. So they were on that level. The Mefarshim saying that the Gemara says Pnei Moshe K'Pnei Chamo Pnei Yeshua K'Pnei Lavono. So obviously the sun is on a lot higher level than the moon. The moon gets its light from the sun. Meaning 30 of them were in such a level. The level compare the sun and the moon. That's the difference. Was very great people. The other 30 was also great. They were level of the Lavono, like Yeshua compared to Moshe Rabbeinu. But they were able with their koyach to stop the sun if they needed to. Meaning, it shows a koyach. What does koyach over here? The Shiur, Shechina, or you're going to say they're able to stop the sun. Meaning, they're such a great people. They're able to rise above the level of nature. Nature of Gematria Elokim, Bereshis Bara Elokim, Hashem Teva is Teva Gematria Elokim. Hashem created the world with Shem Elokim. And they're so great, they could rise above that level of Shem Elokim and control the Teva, stop the sun, not to move. You have to be a very high level to do that. And the first story, even the first story told me even greater than that. Moshe Rabbeinu was all the miracles Hashem did in Mitzrayim, and Yitzias Mitzrayim with Moshe Rabbeinu, he was a lot higher level, higher than Teva. There is a Nes, which is every Nes is higher than Teva. When there is Nisan, there is even higher and greater. So again, 80 Talmidim, 30 of them, the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, the other 30, the level of Yeshua. The last 20, V'esri Mehem, Beinanim. The last 20 out of the 80, they were average people. Okay, we're going to see soon what average people mean over here. Godol Shebekulam, out of the 80, the greatest was Yonasan ben Uziel. Yonasan ben Uziel is the first commentary on Tanakh. Yonasan ben Uziel. It's Talmud of Hillel Hazoken. The Kotam Shebekulam, the smallest out of the 80, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The great Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the one led us from the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, the end of the Beis Hamikdash, from the state of Beis Hamikdash, the state of Golus. He was the one leading us to that transformation. It was a very, very difficult time, and he was the leader for that time. He was the smallest of them. Omru Olam, and that smallest Talmud, the Gemara says they used to stand him. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Shelo eniach mikro mishno Talmud halachas v'hagodas digduke Torah v'digduke Sofrim kalas v'chamuras v'gzeres shovos kufos v'gematrios sichas malach ashoros v'sichas shedim v'sichas dekolim. Okay, maybe I'm saying too much. So he does not. Nothing was out there, whether it was part of the Tanakh, Mikra, Mishnah, Talmud. Even though Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai was from the Tanoim, there was no Gemara yet. But the idea of the Talmud, when you take the Mishnah apart and you get to the bottom of it, to the depth of it, to derive halacha from this, and even though there was no Gemara written, but that process was already then. That's called the Talmud. That process, learning, taking the Mishnah apart and trying to study it and go to the all the way to the halacha with this. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he knew all this halachas, agodas, digduke Torah, all the Dikdukasovi kalas v'chamuros, gzeres shovos, tkvuos, gematrios, how to make the tkufa. That's how to make the calendar. The gematrios, gematria. It says in Pirkei Avos. It's this is the icing of the cake, but that also you know. And parperos l'chochmot. It's parperos like the dessert comes at the end of the meal. It's not the main part of Torah, gematria, but it's also an important part. You know that too. Sichas malach ashoros. You know the language of angel. Sichas shedim. You know the language of demons. Sichas dekolim. You know the language of the trees. The trees communicate also. They have a language. We just don't know it. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai knew this. Masholas koivsim, masholas shuolim. There are a lot of masholas analogies what they say about the laundryman, or they say about the fox. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai knew all of them. Dover Kotan with Dover Godel. He knew small and big stuff. The Gemara says Dover Godel Ma'aseh Merkava. To know about the Ma'aseh Merkava, this is the highest level of learning. There's Ma'aseh Merkava, Ma'aseh Bereshis. He knew the highest level of learning, Ma'aseh Merkava. It's how the things work in the other world, in the world of chariot. But Dover Kotan, what small thing? Havayis the Havai V'Rov. Again, he lived way before Havai V'Rov. But the Havai is the meaning. All the arguments, almost in every page in Talmud, we have argument of Havai V'Rov. There's arguments clarifying the halacha for us. He knew all this. Look, that's the smallest Talmud. He knew all this. L'kayim Hashanemar, to fulfill what says in the Pasuk, L'hanchil, a Pasuk in Mishlei, L'hanchil o Yahavai Yesh, v'otzrosayim Amalek. Hashem says, I will give to people that I love, people that learn Torah, with the Lishma, that's the learning from love to Hashem, to connect to Him, and I'm going to give them Yesh. Yesh, the Gemara says in other places, it's Gematria of Yesh, it's 310, Shai Olamas, meaning a world of knowledge, all the treasures I'm going to fill in, meaning that the biggest treasure, it's your treasure of your mind, how much capacity and how much information you got over there. Hashem says, that was Niskayim by Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He was filled in with all this wisdom. The Gemara says, and that was the smallest Talmud of Hillel. The Gemara asks, if that's the smallest Talmud, knew so much, that basically there's not a thing he did not know. So how much the greater Talmud know? The Gemara says, Amru al Rabbi Yochanan al Yonasan ben Uziel. They said on the Yonasan ben Uziel, B'shosh Yoshev, B'shoyne v'oisek b'Torah, when he would learn Torah, Kol oif shepareach olav ba'avir miyad nisraf. He was so great, any bird that flew over his head of Yonasan ben Uziel, that would be burned out. That's how much holiness he had. So again, it's showing you over here how great is the Talmidim of Hillel Hazoken. Okay, the question is like this now. If the smallest Talmud of Yochanan ben Zakkai knew all this, how much more, all the Talmidim, how much they knew, and then if the level of Yonasan ben Uziel was so holy that the bird that fly over him would get burned out. That's how holy he was. So what was Hillel? The Rebbe. That's the Talmidim, that's the students. What was Hillel? What was his madrega? What would happen if a bird would fly over his head? What would happen to the bird? So they say, from the Sfas Emes, the Hillel, he was so great that the bird that fly over his head, nothing would happen to it. Why? Why it's great? Because the real gadlus, tzidkus of a big tzaddik, that it's so concealed, you don't see anything. You look at Hillel, he looks like a pashut guy. He's a simple guy. You don't see anything in him. That's his gadlus. Hillel knew how to conceal his greatness. Yeah, they're very great, all these people. To the point that the bird flying over the head of Yonasan ben Uziel gaining a bird. Hillel was so great, he knew that fire to contain it. Should not fly and burn the bird above his head. He knew how to contain, how to cover, how to conceal his kedusha, his fire. So that's the greatest thing. So we see from here that the inyan of hatzna leches, how to conceal yourself. People should not see. This is the biggest madrega. They say, I heard a story from Rav Groner Olav Shalom, the masker of the Rebbe. He said this, that one time when Reb Motel Chernobyler, he was sitting with his Hasidim, and they asked him, they told him, why don't we hear anymore about tzaddikim nistorim? He was just few generations after the Baal Shem Tov, not too many. His father, Reb Nochem, learned by the Baal Shem Tov. He says, how come we don't hear in our days much about the 36 tzaddikim nistorim, the hidden tzaddikim? There's a lot of stories written, especially by the Friedrich Rebbe, written a lot of stories of tzaddikim nistorim with the names and details of them. Today we don't know anybody who they are, where they are, what happened to them. The 36 tzaddikim nistorim, hidden tzaddikim. So he told them, "It's we still have them." He says. So they asked him, "So where are they?" He told them, "You're looking at one. You're looking at one." They understood. He talking about himself. But they told him, "But the Rebbe is not a tzaddik nister. You're not a hidden tzaddik. You're a famous tzaddik. Everybody knows you're a tzaddik." So we're talking about tzaddikim nistorim. They don't know. He told them, if a Rebbe is whatever you see about him, he doesn't have a lot more than you see. He says, "Hazoken vei for a Rebbe and Hazoken vei for a Chasidim." He says, there'll be a woe to you and a woe to the Rebbe if all you see, that's what you see. Meaning, a Rebbe has to have a lot more to him than what you see, and the part you don't see, that's the tzaddik nister. That's the hidden tzaddik, the one you don't see. There's a lot more. So it's the idea of a real tzaddik that you have to bevchinas megalet tefach u'mechaset tefachayim. You reveal one tefach, but you cover two tefachim. You have a lot more to you than you reveal. And avoid of every person the same thing you have to do. You have to try to. That's the avoid of Hillel was. By Hillel, you wouldn't see anything. Look like a simple guy. Adrabah, the greatness of a tzaddik when he conceals his avodah. It's all the fire, the godly fire. It's covered. The godly fire is covered. You don't see it. They say the Alter Rebbe, he was doch a mechutan with the Berditchever Rebbe, and he praised a lot to the Berditchever Rebbe, his son, the Mittel Rebbe. He told him he's a very, very big Bal Madrega. He was a very, very high level. The Berditchever Rebbe heard from the Alter Rebbe a lot about his son. So by the Chasana, which is a famous Chasana Shlobin, all the families, many Rebbes came to that Chasana. So by one of the Sheva Baruchas, I think, the Berditchever Rebbe wanted to mechabed the Mittel Rebbe, which is a young man, to say one of the, I think, Birkas Hamazon, he honored him to say the bench. And he told us that the Alter Rebbe, his Mechut, told him so much about his son, that he's such a big Bal Madrega, you want to see what are you going to see by the Baruch, what he could see, his greatness of his son. So when it came to the Birkas Hamazon, the Mittel Rebbe said it's so simple that the Berditchever Rebbe didn't see anything. He told the Alter Rebbe, he told me he's a big Bal Madrega. He said, I didn't see anything. He said, that's his Madrega, the Alter Rebbe says. He could conceal his greatness in simplicity. He could conceal his greatness. You don't see anything. You don't see how great is davening. You don't see how great is avoida and adrab. That's the end of Hatzna Leches, that a person have to try not to show off whether the way he davens, the way he learns, the way he gives tzedakah, the way he helps, the way he does good things. The more it looks on the surface like everybody else is simple, but deep inside there's a whole fire over there that is concealed. That was the avodah of Hillel. And adrabah, the more a person has hatzna leches in his avodah, the more a person has the hatzna leches, the more kedusha is over there. I mentioned the story of Shabbos over here that the Gemara says, the Gemara in Bracha says we have to always try to go see when the king passes by. You have to go try to see the king, even Malchei Yaakov, even non-Jewish king, because it says in the kingdom over here, there's the origin of the kingdom over here come from very high level, Malchus Derekia, from the Malchus Shemayim. Something is there. You're going to see. You're going to be able to. Shem Zoicha is going to be able to see something. The level of Malchus, how it reflects over here with the king over here. Malchus the Arak and Malchus the Rekia, the Malchus over here, it's like Malchus over there. There's some similarities. You'll be able to understand a little bit more, a higher level of Malchus. So, anyway, one time the Gemara said the king were passing by. Those days the king in Babel was Iranian king by the name Shvar Malka. And everybody was going out to see the king. Among them also was Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes, he was a blind man. He was a blind man. So one of the tzdukim tried to start up with Rav Sheshes. Told him, well, why are you going there? He says, people going to the river to draw water with full vessels, broken vessels. They can't pick up water from the river. It's broken. The water going to leak out. They don't. Why do they go to the river with the broken vessels, with the broken barrel, pitchers? He meant to tell him, you don't see. We're going to see the king. We're going to see the king. You're blind. Why are you going to see the king? What's the purpose of you saying? Rav Sheshes told him, you're going to see. I see the king. He was wondering how he's going to be able to see if he's blind. One of the tzduki hung out around Rav Sheshes. And then there was a lot of commotion, and the tzduki told Rav Sheshes, the king is coming now. Rav Sheshes told him, no, the king is not coming now. Then, after a while, again was a big commotion, and the tzduki told Rav Sheshes, the king is coming now. Rav Sheshes told him, no, the king is not coming now. Then it was very quiet. Rav Sheshes told the tzduki, the king is coming now. And that's how it was. So how did he know? How Rav Sheshes knew? He's a blind man. Well, everybody has a source of information. People today, when they need to read, they go to Google or they go to other sources, AI or whatever. Rav Sheshes, his source of information is Torah. And the Torah, by Eliyahu Hanavi, when Hashem told him, I'm going to reveal myself to you, when you're going to be in the Ma'ira, Hashem told Eliyahu, you're going to see a big fire. He says, V'lo b'esh Hashem. Hashem is not there. You're going to see a big storm. He says, V'lo b'ruach Hashem. Then he says, we're going to see kol d'mama daka. You're going to be a very, very quiet. Quiet. He says, then, Hashem says, I'm going to reveal myself then. Hashem is greatest revelation by kol d'mama daka, when there's a quiet. People don't know your deeds. People don't know how great you are. You're trying to hide yourself. You're trying to make it quiet. And the real quiet, not just people should see how quiet you are. You're doing really, really quiet. People not notice your avodah. They should not notice your avodah. The more a person does his avodah quietly, the more Hashem is over there. Hashem is in B'kol D'mama Daka. Hashem is in a place where there is tznius, when there is modesty, and that's what the level, again, going back to Hillel, he was the Rebbe of all these great Talmidim, but you would see a simple man in front of you. He didn't show his greatness. No, with the Skelani Rebbe, when he came out of Romania, he used to live in Kranitz. And one time, he was very close with the Rebbe. The Rebbe helped him to get out of Romania. One time, like I said, they were very close with the Rebbe. One time he told the Rebbe, he says, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he says, me and you, he says, both of us, he says, we're fooling the world, me and you together. He says, I fool the world with my shtreimel, he says, the thing I'm a big Rebbe, and you fool the world with your little hat, the thing you're not such a big Rebbe, because you don't have that big shtreimel. We're both fooling the world, he says. I'm not as big as they think, and you're a lot bigger than they see. So, meaning a person have to always try not to show his whole godless. The more he's going to show his greatness, it weakens him. They say when one of the friends of the Skelani Rebbe was the Rimitzer Rebbe. He himself said to people that were close with him after they brought him to America, he says, Ich bin a halb, now I'm half only. Meaning, when he was there in Romania and Moldavia, he did great miracle. In America also did great miracle. But over there, since he was not as famous as here, he says, I was a lot stronger. Over here, he says, I'm half because I'm famous. Meaning, the more famous you are, the more, because again, Hashem rests himself, Hashem rests is Shechina, the more Hashem rests in Har Sinai, Hashem rests Basneh. And Hashem goes to the places where there's more humility over there, more quiet over there. Over there, he reveals himself. So that's what with this Gemara teaching us, again, the greatness not only of his Talmidim, it's a great Talmidim, not only the smallest Talmid Rabbi Yochanan was there that knew everything, and not only the greatest Rabbi Yonson ben Uziel, that the bird that fly over his head will be burned. It shows the greatness of Hillel, that he was so great that all these things you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see by him. So we're taking from this Gemara, the more we try conceal ourselves. That Adrabah, it's said by the Chassidim, when they were revealed, they had the tsar from it. They had the agony from it. They try not to reveal themselves. I said the story many times. I'm going to tell it to you again. By the Rebbe Rashab, there was one of his Talmidim. They named him a Malach. Later on, he went away from Lubavitch and came to America, and he is the Adayim. Some people they call them Malachim. They have a shul in Monsey, there's a shul in Williamsburg. It was his Talmidim. So when he lived in Lubavitch, those days a lot of time the Bochrim, the learn in Tom Chatmimim in the yeshiva, they used to rent homes or stay by Balabatim. So one of the boys of the yeshiva used to live by him. And one day, the Malach came to the house. He woke up everybody. It's about midnight, and he woke up this boy too and told everybody have to get out of the house. But you know why he's chasing everybody out of the house? Because everybody goes out immediately now. They listened to him. They respected him. So to get out, so we're getting out. As soon as everybody left the house collapses. The house collapsed. So they realized this man must be a holy man. He saved the life of everybody. He knew the house was going to collapse. The next day, the whole Lubavitch was talking about the greatness of this Malach. That he wasn't so famous till then. They realized he's a very holy man. He saved the life of people. He knew the building going to collapse. When he heard that, he called the boy over, and he told the boy, "Darfst du lernen wie zu schweigen." It's in English would be you have to learn how to shut up. It wasn't just to be quiet. It meaning you have to learn how to bite your lips. You don't have to see whatever you see with that. Meaning he had a tsar why people find out about him. The meaning Adrab, the more the person does things and people don't know about, the greater he is, the more kedusha he has. The more kedusha, Kadosh Baruch Hu shoyre b'mokem and b'mokem pogem. The more it's bottled to Hashem, the more the person is bottled to Hashem, more nullification, more modesty over there. Hakadosh Baruch Hu shoyre over there. Hakadosh Baruch Hu come and dwells over there. So that's again we're learning all this from the Hillel Hazoken, that by him we don't see any of those things we say about this Talmidim. Yeah, that was his greatness. He was definitely greater than his Talmidim. That's his Talmidim. But you didn't see any of that because he had the talent to know how to take all this greatness and to cover it from the outside. You don't see anything.